We are not doctors. Nothing in this podcast should be taken as medical advice. Consult your physician before starting any workout routine. This is the Martial Heart Podcast.
And hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. How are you? I'm fine. Really. Sorry there was no show yesterday. I had a lot going on. And so I just sort of, didn't feel like trying to squeeze it in. I didn't want to just rush something out just so I could say I did a podcast every day this week. So, because that's bullshit. Nobody wants that. So, anyhow, blood pressure medications. Okay. The new one doesn't work as good. We discussed this before, but my blood pressure is occasionally up still. Like when I came home from work, I tested it, and it was at like 150 over 92. And, I'm on a blood pressure regulating medicine. So it looks like probably, the milligrams will have to be adjusted if they want to keep my shit together down in that good range where it's supposed to be. And, but when I did cardiac rehab last night, had a good time doing that. Talking to the therapists. I don't know what they're called. Are they rehab specialists or whatever they are? I don't know. They're nice ladies. So, things are going to start getting amped up a little bit, slowly, but it's going to start becoming more difficult. As she said, this is, about halfway. I'm not even quite halfway there, I don't think. But eventually, she said, it starts to become pretty challenging. So don't get too comfortable with this stuff that I keep saying is too easy or moderate level exercise. But anyhow, that went pretty well. But my blood pressure was still not that great last night either. But it was better after I exercised. It seems like, and they checked it while I was on the treadmill. So it seems that while I'm doing things, while I'm physically active, my blood pressure is better. It was what it should have been for someone who was being active at the time. Your blood pressure doesn't stay down when you're exercising, but a lot of times the upper number goes higher and the lower number goes a little bit lower. So she said that was normal. And my blood pressure while I was exercising was completely within normal ranges, and it was what they would expect to see. So, but I had a lot of chest pressure yesterday, and I've had it off and on today. And it's just going to plague me, I guess, until it goes away, or until I decide that that's just the way my life is going to be from now until eternity. I don't want to accept that, so I'm in denial, I think, is one of the things. So, But the other news is my heart monitor arrived last night. So, after I do this podcast and after I go have some dinner, I'm going to have to put on this heart monitor, which means I have to, use sandpaper and scrape my skin. You have to wash it, and then you have to scrape it with this sandpaper kind of stuff, and then you stick it on there in a very precise location. So that's going to be an endeavor. I'll try to take some pictures or something, and I can post them somewhere so that everybody can see how ridiculous of a thing it is. But it comes with a template that you put on so that it shows you where it's supposed to be. And we'll see how that goes. So that will begin the 2-week ordeal of the heart monitor tonight. And it's going to be awesome because I get to try to sleep with this thing attached to me. And since it's actually the only thing I'm worried about, because it's not a really large thing. And, everybody already knows I'm dealing with this heart issue right now. So having some heart thing attached to me isn't a shocker to anybody. Everybody knows I'm going to have it. But my big concern about it is how well am I going to sleep with this thing stuck to my chest on the side of my body that I like to sleep on. So I don't know how that's going to go. Hopefully it goes okay and I can, still get a decent night's sleep, or at least get my 5 hours that I normally get. So, I have to think positive. I have to remain positive, as the cardiologist at the hospital told me after my procedure was stay positive. So that's a thing. I guess that cures heart disease, staying positive. The power of positive thinking. That was a big thing back in the 70s and 80s, where it was when the whole think and grow rich thing kind of got legs and everybody started praying for wealth and other stupid fucking things like that. And anyway, yep. So we don't need to go down that road at the moment. Maybe later. So otherwise, I'm feeling okay. The blood pressure is still, like I said, going up a little bit now and then. And then I can feel I didn't check my blood pressure 12 times today like I had been, because, the lady made me feel weird about it. So now I'm just checking it, 4 or 5 times a day. So I've cut back a little bit. And it was okay a couple of times, and the rest of the time it was a little bit elevated. And of course, my automated cuff tells me it's hypertension stage 1 or hypertension stage 2 and all this other stuff. And then when I show the readings to the nurses, they're like, yeah, that's not so bad. So I don't know. And again, don't know if it's not so bad for someone in my situation or not so bad for just anybody. I think they're concerned if it stays there continuously. If it spikes up, once or twice a day, I don't think they're as concerned about it as if I took 10 readings today and they were all over this, threshold. I don't know. And again, I don't think anybody does. I think they're all just guessing. But, the heart monitor thing is going to be done. Hopefully, I don't know. I have this appointment with my family physician on Tuesday. And boy, am I going to have a lot of questions. I'm going to have to write them down because I'm going to have questions. I'm sure my wife is going to have questions. And I need to make sure that I get the answers that I want. So maybe I'll quit bitching so much about not having the answers that I want because nobody's talking to me. Nobody tells me nobody's definitely telling me what I want to hear, but they're also not telling me anything. Because you're on the assembly line. That's about how it goes. But hopefully I'll get some answers from him. He'll be able to look at all of the stuff, look at all the results of all the tests, and he can look at the images from the procedure before and after and during the procedure, which for some reason they don't put those things on the portal so I can see them. I wish they would, but I don't know why they don't. They put everything else on there. They put, hey, you had a heart attack, you had this, you have this, these are the medications you're on, and this is what your last blood work looked like. But they don't put any pictures on there. They'll put the documents that explain, like the scan, but like the echocardiogram they did, they'll put the document on there by the person who interpreted it and tell you what they saw and what it looked like. But it doesn't show you the actual picture. And I'm sure it's not a copyright or a trademark issue because it's me. It's my insides. I should be allowed to see them whenever I want without having to open myself up. So I don't know. It would be great, medical people, if you, morons could ever just do the things that we want you to do, and then we won't bitch and moan about healthcare as much. But I want pictures. I want my x-rays. I want my CT scans. I want my MRIs. I want them on my portal so I can see them. And I can show them to someone else. So I can show them to some other doctor if I think you're stupid and I don't believe you, whatever you're saying. But when I had the complete blockage in my femoral artery and they let me take pictures of the screen when they were showing it to me, that was kind of cool because I got to go around showing people and I was like, look at my artery. Because the contrast fluid, it just looked like it stopped, in the middle of my thigh and then started again, a couple of inches lower. So I was able to take that around and show it to people. I don't know if any of them wanted to see it, but they did because I was showing people. But I want to be able to show people also, this is the photograph of my heart, and this is where the stents are, and this is where they did angio. I need to be able to see those things. And I don't know if it's just a weird thing about me, but I need to know those things. Just like when they were doing the procedure, I needed to watch what they were doing. I needed to look at the screen. And when they did my peripheral arteries, a couple of years ago, they kept moving things around, and I kept craning my head around trying to get a view of the screen. And the doctor finally asked me, he was like, "Are you trying to see the screen?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You want to see it?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not? What you're doing is interesting. So I would like to see it." So he moved some things around so that I could watch, through because they're like x-raying you at the same time they're doing the procedure so they can see what's happening on the inside. And so, they put it so that they re-angled the TV screen so I could see what was going on too. And I like that. That's what I prefer. And it's years and years ago when I was 19 and I was involved in a training accident while I was in basic training in the United States Army at Fort McClellan, Alabama. Bravo Bulldog 795. I had, those of you who know me have probably seen it. I have a large scar on the inside of my left arm, and it was laid open. It was, an inch or so deep into my flesh, and it cut up a bunch of stuff, some tendons, some muscle, probably a few small veins. And when they were fixing it after they'd cleaned everything up and they were going to sew it all back together, they put like those blue sheet things, as paper, like, I don't know, they look like puppy, pads that you put on the floor. They were setting these things up and like arranging it so that I couldn't see what they were doing. And I kept moving my head, and he's like, "Hey, no, just stay there." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "You don't want to watch this." And I'm like, "Yes, I do. It's my arm. I want to see what you're doing." And he was like, "Man, you're crazy." And I'm like, "I'm not crazy. I don't, it's me. I should see what's going on. I want to know what's happening to me." So he moved everything out of the way so I could watch. And he thought it was the weirdest thing ever that I wanted to watch him sew my arm back together. But he did. He did a pretty good job of it too. But it was a strange thing. I'm not going to recommend it to everyone. You don't always want to see yourself laid open like that. It's not a pleasant sight. But if you're like me and you just like knowing what's going on with you, then it was a necessity for me. If I'm able to see it and you're not going to let me see it, then I don't, you and I are going to argue because I want to see it. And yeah, it's probably weird. But who said I wasn't weird? Nobody's ever said that, especially me. But that's about, the size of it today. I don't know. Sorry, I went off on that weird, I want to see myself sewn back together thing. But physically, I feel okay. Like, as far as my strength, and I don't feel the exhaustion coming and going anymore. And my muscle strength feels like it's coming back. I did some push-ups, and it felt pretty good. I didn't, it felt okay. So I get to go back to doing some of those things, which will make me happy. And, if I can just get this stupid blood pressure thing and this chest pressure um, dealt with, or at least explained and figured out, or someone giving me therapies or ideas or ways to alleviate it a little bit so that it doesn't bother me so much, I'll be pretty good. I won't be ready to go roll around on the floor doing jujitsu. I know that. And the doctor's not going to let me do that yet. So, I'm not there. But those two issues are really the things that are holding me back right now and making me feel like I'm not ready to go do the, hard physical thing. And I think once we get those resolved, the world might be a brighter place for me anyway. So that's what we're looking at. I will, I don't know, maybe I don't know if I'll do an episode later after I put the heart monitor on so you can see it, but I'll try to take some pictures and maybe add them onto the podcast tomorrow. But everybody take care of yourselves. Love everybody. Oh, wait. Oh, my ad revenue for this podcast hit $5. So to celebrate, I gave a donation to a local homeless shelter. And I lost $25 on that deal, but it's a start. So see you next time.